The morning sun shines over the turquoise waters near the Philippines. Several fishing boats float quietly. Suddenly, a loudspeaker blares. A Chinese Coast Guard ship warns the Filipino fishermen to leave. Tension rises as a Philippine Navy vessel approaches, trying to protect its people. Both sides watch each other closely, engines growling, ready for anything. This tense scene happens often in the South China Sea. The waters here are not just beautiful, they are also full of valuable oil and gas. Many countries claim parts of these waters, but the Philippines and China are often at odds. For the Philippine fishermen, this is more than a standoff. It's about their future and their country's resources. Every day feels uncertain as powerful nations clash over these waters. Beneath the shimmering surface of the South China Sea, hidden from view, lie vast and largely untapped reserves of oil and natural gas. These resources have been the subject of intense interest and speculation for decades. As scientists and energy experts continue to study the region's true potential, many scientists believe that these underwater fields could hold not just millions, but billions of barrels of oil and trillions of cubic feet of natural gas, enough to transform the energy landscape of Southeast Asia. Exploration teams and researchers are constantly working to map and estimate these reserves, hoping to unlock a new era of energy independence. For the Philippines, these resources represent more than just numbers on a chart. They offer real hope for a brighter future. The promise of energy beneath the waves inspires dreams of progress and prosperity for countless Filipino families. If harnessed, these oil and gas reserves could help power millions of homes, keep the lights on in schools and hospitals, fuel cars and buses, and create thousands of new jobs for hard-working Filipinos. The benefits would ripple through every part of society, from bustling cities to remote villages. Oil and gas are not just commodities, they are the backbone of energy security. Having a reliable domestic supply means the country can better withstand global shocks and disruptions. Right now, the Philippines relies heavily on imported energy, making it vulnerable to price spikes and supply shortages from abroad. Every year, billions of pesos leave the country to pay for foreign oil and gas. But if the country can tap into its own oil and gas reserves, it could save enormous amounts of money, create local jobs, and become less dependent on other nations for its energy needs. This would strengthen the economy and give the Philippines more control over its own future. Energy independence is key for national growth, development, and pride. It means building a stronger nation where every Filipino can share in the benefits of progress. But the stakes are not just local. The South China Sea is a crossroads for global energy trade, and what happens here affects the entire world. The world's economy depends on stable, affordable energy supplies. Disruptions in this region can send shockwaves through global markets, affecting everything from fuel prices to the cost of everyday goods. If conflict or instability were to stop oil and gas from flowing, prices could skyrocket everywhere, hurting families and businesses far beyond the Philippines. That's why so many countries, from Asia to the West, closely watch what happens in these waters. The decisions made here have global consequences. For the people of the Philippines, gaining control over their own resources means more than just economic gain. It means a better, more secure future for generations to come. It's about making sure their children have light to study by, warmth during storms, and fuel to power their dreams, without fear of outside threats or sudden shortages. In the end, the story of oil and gas in Philippine waters is about hope, resilience, and the right to shape their own destiny. Why does the United States care so much about oil and gas in the Philippines? The answer is complex, involving history, economics, and global security. There are many reasons why this region is so important to the U.S. and why American leaders pay close attention to what happens here. First, the U.S. and the Philippines share a long-standing alliance that goes back decades. The two countries have worked together on many issues, from security to disaster relief, and their partnership is built on mutual trust and shared interests. This partnership was formalized in 1951, when both countries signed a historic defense agreement. This pact means that if the Philippines is ever attacked, the U.S. has promised to come to its aid. It's a commitment that has shaped the relationship between the two nations for generations. Over the years, the U.S. has maintained a military presence in the Philippines, conducting joint training exercises and helping to strengthen the country's defenses. This cooperation is not just about military power, it's also about building trust and ensuring stability in the region. Second, the U.S. has a major interest in keeping the sea lanes around the Philippines open and secure. These waters are vital for global trade, connecting Asia with the rest of the world. In fact, these sea routes are among the busiest anywhere on the planet. Every day, countless oil tankers and cargo ships travel through these waters, carrying goods, energy, and resources to and from the US, its allies, and trading partners. If anything were to disrupt this flow, such as conflict, piracy, or territorial disputes, it could have a ripple effect on economies around the globe. The US wants to make sure that trade keeps moving smoothly without interference or threats. Trouble in these waters doesn't just affect the Philippines or the US. It could impact the entire world, raising prices, causing shortages, and creating uncertainty for millions of people. Third, the US is increasingly concerned about China's growing power and influence in the region. China has been expanding its military presence and making bold claims over the South China Sea, which includes areas that are internationally recognized as belonging to the Philippines. China's claim covers almost the entire South China Sea, overlapping with the exclusive economic zones of several countries, including the Philippines. This has led to tensions, standoffs, and even confrontations at sea. The US wants to make sure that no single country, not even China, can control these crucial waters alone. By maintaining a presence and supporting its allies, the US helps to balance power and prevent any one nation from dominating the region. By helping the Philippines protect its valuable oil and gas resources, the US is also looking out for its own strategic and economic interests. Energy security is a key concern, and ensuring access to these resources benefits both countries. Ultimately, it's about keeping the peace, upholding international law, and making sure the rules are fair for everyone. The US believes that cooperation, not conflict, is the best way to ensure stability and prosperity in this vital part of the world. To help secure these valuable resources and maintain regional stability, the United States and the Philippines have long worked together to build and operate military bases across the archipelago. These bases serve as strategic points for both countries, allowing them to respond quickly to any threats or emergencies in the region. The partnership between the US and the Philippines is rooted in a shared history and mutual interests, especially when it comes to protecting vital sea lanes and natural resources. After World War II, the US established large and important bases in the Philippines, such as Clark Air Base and Subic Bay Naval Base. These installations played a crucial role during the Cold War, serving as hubs for American military operations in Asia. However, due to changing political climates and rising nationalist sentiments, most of these bases were closed in 1992, marking the end of a significant era in US-Philippine military cooperation. In recent years, however, both countries recognized the need for renewed cooperation in the face of new security challenges. They agreed to let the US use Philippine bases again under a deal called the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA. This agreement allows American forces to rotate through selected bases, store equipment, and conduct joint training exercises, all while respecting Philippine sovereignty. Today, American forces have access to several key military sites across the Philippines. These modern bases are equipped with advanced technology and infrastructure, making them vital for rapid deployment and regional defense. These include bases strategically located near the South China Sea, such as those in Palawan and Luzon. Their proximity to contested waters allows both nations to monitor maritime activity and respond swiftly to any incidents or provocations. US troops regularly train with Filipino soldiers, sharing intelligence, tactics, and expertise. These joint exercises not only strengthen military readiness, but also foster trust and cooperation between the two armed forces. They also conduct disaster response drills, preparing for natural calamities that frequently affect the region. The presence of these bases is not just about preparing for war. American and Filipino soldiers often engage with local communities, participating in humanitarian projects, medical missions, and educational programs that benefit the people living near the bases. In times of crisis, such as devastating typhoons or powerful earthquakes, these bases become centers for emergency response. US and Philippine forces work side by side to deliver aid, rescue survivors, and rebuild affected areas. With access to military transport planes and ships, the US can quickly bring in food, medical supplies, and other essential aid. This rapid response capability has saved countless lives and helped communities recover faster from disasters. Strategically, These bases make it much harder for any outside force to threaten Philippine waters or challenge the country's sovereignty. They serve as a deterrent, signaling that both nations are prepared to defend their interests. Ultimately, these bases are a powerful symbol of the enduring alliance between the United States and the Philippines. They show the world that the US stands by its ally, ready to help protect its resources, its people, and its future. China has built its own bases on artificial islands in the South China Sea. These bases have runways, radar stations, and missiles. This honestly worries the Philippines and its neighbors. They fear China could block access to oil and gas fields, or even take control of them. US military bases in the Philippines send a message. They show that the Philippines is not alone. If China tries to take more territory, US forces can respond quickly. American planes and ships can patrol the area, watching for any threats. Joint exercises between US and Filipino forces prepare both countries to act together. They practice defending islands and protecting oil rigs. This makes it risky for anyone to attack or bully the Philippines. By building up its presence, the US helps balance power in the region. This deters China from acting too aggressively and helps, keep the peace. The US and the Philippines share a long history. The Philippines was once an American colony. After gaining independence in 1946, the two countries stayed close. US bases were important during the Cold War, and they helped the US keep watch over Asia and the Pacific. In 1992, the last US bases closed as some Filipinos wanted more control over their land. But as China grew stronger in the South China Sea, the Philippines asked the US for help again. That led to new agreements and, more US troops returning. China's claims in the South China Sea are based on old maps, but international courts have ruled against them. Still, China continues to build bases and send ships into disputed waters. This history shapes today's tensions. It explains why the US and the Philippines work together and why China's actions make both countries nervous. This situation can seem complicated, but the basics are simple. The Philippines needs oil and gas to grow. China wants to control more of the South China Sea. The US wants to help its friend and keep the sea lane safe. The US uses bases in the Philippines to show it will protect its ally. These bases help stop any one country from getting too much power. They also make sure trade and energy supplies keep moving. For Filipinos, this support means safety. For Americans, it means protecting partners and global interests. For China, it is a reminder that its actions have limits. Everyone hopes to avoid war. Bases, patrols, and joint exercises are meant to keep the peace, not start a fight. By working together, the US and the Philippines hope to keep the South China Sea peaceful. They want to show strength without risking conflict. Strong alliances can prevent misunderstandings and stop small disputes from turning into big problems. If oil and gas can be shared fairly, everyone benefits. Stability helps businesses invest, jobs grow, and families prosper. People can fish, travel, and work without fear. Other countries in Asia watch what happens here. They want to see fair rules and peaceful solutions. The presence of US bases reassures them that order will be kept. In the end, peace in the South China Sea means a safer, richer future for all of Asia. The story of the Philippines, the US and China in the South China Sea is not just local, it matters to everyone. Oil and gas fuel the world's economies. Busy sea lanes connect continents. If conflict breaks out, everyone will feel the effects. US military bases in the Philippines are a symbol. They show a commitment to peace, safety, and fairness. They remind all sides to settle differences through talk, not force. As long as these partnerships last, the hope for peace and stability in Asia grows stronger. The world is watching and learning from what happens here.